Hi everyone, today is Friday. Happy Friday. It is June 5th, 2020, and today we'll be working with word problems for time and money. We haven't done this before in the year, so it's very important that you are listening to this video and you're following along with me as I'm talking and showing you how to use number lines to solve these problems. So, your objective today: students will be able to solve word problems for time and money by using a number line. So we're going to see what that looks like and how to solve these types of problems. That way on your independent work, you know exactly what to do. Example 1, teacher model. Okay. Prim bought 3 shirts at the mall. Each shirt costs $12. She also bought a pair of shoes for $32. Prim gave the cashier a $100 bill. How much change did she get? So this isn't a type of problem where we're just going to add or subtract. There are a lot of steps we need to take in order to correctly solve this problem. So we can use a bar model for this one to solve this problem. Let's think about what we know. She bought 3 shirts, each one for $12. So in my bar model, I have 3 sections, and each section shows $12. And all you have to do is look at my bar model. She also bought $32 shoes. So I added that toward the end of my bar model. And I have a question mark because we don't know how much this all costs together. So to determine how much change she should get, we first need to know how much she spent. So I added these values together to see what Prim's total is. Prim's total is $68 spent. All I did was add 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 32, and that equaled $68. But I'm not done. She gave the cashier $100. So how much change is she getting back from the cashier? So after adding up the price of each purchase, we know that Prim spent $68. Does this answer our question? No way. The question asks us how much change she received, not how much she spent. We know that Prim spent $68 and gave the cashier $100. So to find how much money she received back, we're just going to subtract 68 from 100. So 100 minus 68 is $32 in change. So we first needed to add her total costs, and I did that by drawing a bar model. And then, so after we added all of her costs, we needed to subtract it by the $100 bill to see how much change she was owed. So that's an example of a money problem. The next one has to do with time, and we haven't worked with time in 4th grade yet. So it may seem tricky, but it always makes sense. So let's see how we figure out this next problem. Teacher Model 2. Kelly can choose between 2 flights for her vacation. Flight A leaves at 11:35 a.m. and arrives at 2:17 p.m. Flight B leaves at 5:10 p.m. and arrives at 8:49 p.m. Which is the shorter flight, and how much shorter is it? Before getting overwhelmed by the number lines below, just listen closely. For this problem, we are looking for how much time passes from when the plane leaves to when it arrives. In 3rd grade, we solved problems like this using the open number line. Let's start with Flight A. So Flight A is at the top, so just look at the top, okay? I drew my number line and I labeled 11:35 a.m. because that's when the flight left. And I labeled the end of the number line at 2:17 p.m., which is when the plane arrived. I can move along the number line counting the hours in between these 2 times. I'm going to count on by hours to get close to 217. So 1 hour brings me to 12:35. Another hour brings us to 1:35. And another hour brings us to 2:35. Oh no, wait, that's too far. So I will only add on 2 hours to get me to 1:35. Okay, I don't want to go too far past 2:17. Now from 1:35, I will think about how many minutes until the next hour, which is 2 o'clock. From 1:35 to 2 o'clock is 25 minutes. So I jumped 25 more minutes, but I'm not yet at 2:17 p.m. Then from 2 o'clock to 2:17 is 17 minutes. Now my number line is set up to show me the length of time between 11:35 and 2:17. There are 2 hours and 42 minutes long. That's how long flight A was. Now let's look at flight B at the bottom. I've labeled my number line starting at 5:10 when flight B left, and at the end of the number line I labeled it 8:49, which is when the plane arrived at its destination. I can move along the number line counting the hours in between these two times. Just as we did before, we will begin with 1 hour. 1 hour brings me to 6:10. Another hour brings me to 7:10. Another hour brings me to 8:10. And I will stop there because another hour will be 9:10, but that's past our end time. So now from 8:10, I can think about how many minutes until 8:49, and that's 39 minutes. On the number line, I can see how long it is from 5:10 to 8:49. So flight B is 3 hours and 39 minutes. So 3 hours and 39 minutes. Which flight is shorter? Just by looking at these number lines, I can tell right away flight A has to be shorter because flight A took 2 hours, whereas flight B took 3 hours. So right away, regardless of how many minutes it took, I know that flight A was shorter. But then it's asking us how much shorter the flight was. So trip A was 2 hours and 42 minutes, and trip B is 3 hours and 39 minutes. And then I said trip A was obviously shorter by 57 minutes. Okay. Now, guided practice. Sierra listened to her playlist for 10 minutes. She listened to 3 songs. The first song lasted 192 seconds. The second song lasted 231 seconds. How long was the third song? So that's my missing information. The first thing that I am noticing about this problem is that we have information in minutes and seconds. This is important because we know she listened to music for a total of 10 minutes, but then the songs are given to us in seconds. It would be easier to have everything in one unit. How can we get everything to be in one unit? Well, we can change the minutes to seconds. How many seconds are in 1 minute? 60. We have 10 of those, so how can we find the total amount of seconds? We can do 10 times 60 equals 600 seconds, okay? So this is kind of what we did with conversion, the conversion table last week. Okay, we're bringing it into this lesson. That's all we're doing. Let's record the information we know in a bar discussing the meaning of each bar as you draw. So my first bar has 192 seconds and my second one has 231 seconds. The total amount of time was 600 seconds. So we need to find that missing third song. Looking at the model, how many seconds combined are the first two songs? When you add 192 plus 231, it equals 423 seconds of music. And she listened to 600 seconds in total. So we can find out how long the third song was by subtracting 423 from 600. So 600 minus 423 equals 177 seconds. Okay, you just had to find that missing song. With that being said, that is my last problem for today. So it's not going to be as easy as just adding or subtracting. You might have to multiply. You might have to add first and then subtract. You might have to find the times between two flights by using hours and minutes. And just like this, we needed to add and then we needed to subtract. There are a lot of different strategies you can use, but I prefer using number lines and bar models. Okay, now I'm actually going to make a second video on how I was able to figure out this slide, which is finding the total amount of minutes, how much time was shorter. Because trip A was shorter, but we need to find out how much shorter. So in my next video, I'm going to explain how I got this. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a really great weekend. If you already took the iStation test, you get a Friday freebie. You don't have to do reading work today, so that's a nice Friday. Have a great weekend.